Hello and welcome to another EV Groups Nexus meetup on YouTube. My name's Charlie, I work for Octopus Electric Vehicles, and we believe that connecting people to customers is one of the most important things that we can do to help people understand a little bit more about driving electric cars. I'm going to pass over to Leanne today, Leanne Roberts, and she's going to chat you through everything and everyone that we have on the call, and then going to get you involved with asking some questions. Leanne, over to you.
Thanks, Charlie. Okay, please don't adjust your sets. You will notice the lack of facial hair. And today we have a panel of women, and we have our special guest with us, co-founder of MyEnergi, Jordan Brompton. First, I'm Leanne Roberts from Sussex EVs, and I am Neil E. Roberts' wife, so in case you hadn't guessed. And I've been helping him run the Nexus, the Sussex EVs for a couple of years now, and I'm also part of the EV Groups Nexus. And I will pass you on to Melissa.
Hello, my name is Melissa Briggs and I'm part of the MG EV Owners Group. I was one of the first people to get an MG ZS EV. I'm a moderator on that group and I work in the renewable energy field in solar tracking.
Okay, and Claire. Have we lost Claire?
Hiya, I'm Claire Cleveley, part of the Southwest EV Owners Group and the Gloucestershire EV Owners Group, and also part of Cleveley Electric Vehicles.
Thank you very much, everyone. And now just to introduce our special guest, she is the co-founder of MyEnergi, Jordan Brompton. Thank you for joining us, Jordan.
Thank you so much for having me. It means a lot. As you mentioned, I'm the co-founder of MyEnergi, and we are UK innovators and manufacturers of electric charging vehicle equipment and smart home devices. We believe in a more sustainable future using renewable energy and want to push the EV market.
Okay, brilliant. So we do have some questions lined up, but if anyone would like to ask any further questions, please do so in the YouTube comments, and we'll see if we can get them online for you. So first of all, Jordan, being the co-founder of a company, do you find there are still prejudices with regards to gender orientation and stereotypes in the workplace with leadership?
Occasionally I face, times where I feel maybe a little bit undermined or not taken seriously, but I've always been quite a confident person. So I think that once someone gets to know me, I like to break down those stereotypes. And it's something that I'm always striving to do. And I'm always encouraging women as well to go into more leadership roles and to have the confidence to go for what they want. It's unfortunate, it is still there. And I've had a baby as well recently. And I've found that, it's my career that has to take a little bit of a hit to be able to obviously look after my new baby, which is fine because I want to be with my baby. But I've noticed that the men have to go to work no matter what. It's the women that seem to suffer at this time, especially when you've got a career and children. So I still see huge improvements that need to happen from that side. But especially in this industry, it's so inclusive and everybody's so lovely that I'm most of the time made to feel very welcome and equal.
Well, that's pleasing to hear. It sounds like things are going in the right direction. The next question is coming via Melissa. Sorry, Melissa, you're on mute.
You put me up the order. I wasn't expecting to be up the top. MG owners have been experiencing charging issues on rapids over the last few months. And it started with Genie Point. And I discovered this when I'd done a long journey and I needed to charge and I only got 20 miles in an hour. And I've been in touch with Joe Moffat of Genie Point. And then recently I encountered the same thing on a Zappi. The guy who owns it charges his Tesla in an hour, MG 20 miles. So we're now wondering whether there's actually an issue with MG. Somehow there's some sort of block on an MG. It says, I don't want that much power, I only want a little bit. But have you heard about this from any other MG owners? We've got a thread about it on the MG Owners Club, and there are about 70 people commenting on it. And I have seen another Zappy comment.
Okay, it's not something that I've heard come up through technical usually, but with me being customer facing, if there's a problem with one of the EVs that is brought into the market, I get to hear about these problems. Lots of the car manufacturers don't always follow the standards. They do their own thing. So each individual OEM interpret the regs in different ways to how the charging world interprets regs. So every now and again, we do come across where our eco mode, our fast mode, or our eco plus mode, fast mode's always okay, but eco and eco plus mode sometimes cause issues with particular models. And it's usually down to us to have to sort of solve the problem, because the car manufacturers, it's hard to get through to them and to know, to get an answer out of them. So we just always find a workaround. I've not heard anything with MG yet, but I will have a look on the forum, and I'll also mention it to the tech team. We did have an issue with the Model 3 not waking up when the Zappy was in Eco Plus mode. Again, that wasn't our doing. It was Tesla not following the regs just yet, but they've recently fixed it in a software update. So it does happen. I'll look into it, but I've not heard about MG. It might be something to do with their charging standard and how they interpret the regs. I can double check that for you.
Great. Okay, thanks very much. It's very interesting because Jo at Genie Point, she said, let's do some testing. So I did a test with her, literally on the line and on her computer the whole time at a Morrison's charge point before the update. And then we've done one since the update, because we thought there might be some battery management thing within the update which might make a difference, but it made zero difference. It's still a problem. And then I had the same thing last Thursday with you guys. So anyway, it'd be interesting to see what you find. Thank you very much.
We'll investigate it for you for sure.
Okay.
Right, next question will be asked by Claire.
Hi Jordan, are there any plans for MyEnergi to release a plug that would suit a granny cable to trickle charge an EV at all?
No, it's not on our roadmap, because the Zappy can actually, in Eco Plus mode, ramp down to the same sort of ampage as a granny cable anyway. So you've always got, we find that the flexibility is the better option, so that if you're wanting to charge fast, you can. If you're wanting to charge at the same rate as a granny cable, you can. With the Zappy, just adjust the ampage. So we wouldn't want to bring out a granny cable for the car. It's not on our roadmap.
Thank you.
No worries.
Okay, the next question comes from Tanuj on LinkedIn. I would be interested to know, are you planning on releasing or working on an energy display device like the app with estimated ETA of agile tariff integration? And is that coming to the Eddy? Any plans to speed up the app for historical data, and sort of any new products that might be coming along?
Yes, sorry, I'm moving house at the moment, so I've got so much going on in the background, so we're just closing the doors. A moment. Yes, we are hoping to have a monitoring device. I'm not sure where it sits on the roadmap just yet, because obviously you can do it through all the app, and we will have agile integration very soon with a firmware update. But the home management is pretty much key to what MyEnergi does. And I'd really personally, I love having the app, and people often set up iPads and things like that and point GoPros at them to be able to see what's going on. So I think having a nice interface in the home that you could just glance at all the time would be a nice touch. But we've got so much on, so I can't say definitely when it's coming out, but we have discussed it. And
sort of any sort of new products that might be close to coming out, would be interested to know about?
It's so hard for me, this, because I'm the world's worst. Like, I would just tell you everything, and every time I come on one of these, I'm going to get a telling off from my board. But yeah, we've got some pretty close products. We're looking at, obviously, without giving away too much, because we've got launches and things like that scheduled in, we're looking at more at storage for the home, more smart home products to integrate with renewables, and also some entry sort of products for people that don't have an EV yet or don't have solar panels but want to sort of start monitoring their energy and thinking of ways that they can go green without giving away too much, but I'm sure you can read between the lines.
That's actually quite good, because obviously the Zappi itself's always been very much geared towards EV owners, but here you're obviously spreading out to a wider market who may not have adopted EV ownership yet. So the next question is coming via Melissa.
You're on mute.
On mute again.
I always forget, sorry. Could MyEnergi please make a great EV charger like the Zappi that also has a neat cable storage like the Anderson EV?
We love, I think the Anderson's a beautiful charger, and we have looked at it, but when we designed the Zappi, I actually think that it's one of the nicer chargers on the market for wrapping the cables around. When you do it nice and tight, it's gorgeous. But some of the other chargers that you've got, I think the cables are hung all over the place, there's things in the wall. And obviously if you don't like to see cables, we've got the untethered version, so we tie the cable away. But we've got a few ideas, like innovative ideas, again, that if we can get the R&D team on it to hide the cable that little bit better, but it won't be on the Zappi. So we're always looking at ways to improve the products and for future products. But it wouldn't be like the Anderson, it'd be a bit different.
Okay, thank you.
And Claire.
The next questions come in from Paul from Twitter, and it says, MyEnergi is an impressive startup company with an excellent product line. They have the gentleman has a Zappi, Hub, a Harvey, and an Eddy, and his MyEnergi backup service experience has been excellent. He asks, are there any plans for the MyEnergi app to provide a textual list of charging session history rather than the graphical histogram, e.g. for expense claims and Excel export, etc.?
Yes. So you will be able to download the data into files, export them for your own use. And we are looking at fleet solutions also for the products, because they're obviously on the workplace charge scheme as well for OLEV. And obviously fleet is becoming more and more popular and something that we want to be a part of. It's not been our main focus because we focus on the home, but yes is the answer.
Okay, so the next question comes from Neil Brandon of the EV Owners Group, and it says, as Octopus Energy's Agile tariff has become more popular with EV drivers, are there any plans to allow the Zappi to automatically adjust charge timings to make use of the cheapest and greenest energy generated from the grid?
Yeah, so we've already got timed boosts in there to be able to prioritize what time you want to charge for like the EV Go tariff, things like that. So you can say between 12 and 4 o'clock in the morning charge. But we've got the Agile tariff software update very soon also. So everybody that's got Zappi and of course will be able to download the latest firmware and then you make use of the Agile tariff as well. But it'll be across the board, so it'll work with all tariffs, from all energy providers.
That's great. And the next question's being asked by Melissa.
I don't know who submitted this question because there's a blank in that column, but the question is, will MyEnergi release a light version of Zappi for those that don't yet have solar but want a quality charger?
We've debated it, and we actually was about to launch something called the Zappi Lite. But when we looked at it, we felt like it would be a step backwards. Because the solar capability is not really an expensive add-on. It's something that we've built into the charger because that's our experience with renewable energy. You don't have to use it. You've got 2 other charge modes. You can use the load balance at home, and to use fast mode, you don't have to use Eco Plus, and you don't have to have solar to have a Zappi. It wouldn't bring the cost of the unit down because it's all in software. So we are looking at a more mainstream entry-level product, but the way we work, it'll probably be more advanced. So I don't think we'd take a step backwards, to be fair, because we don't see a place really for what we call in the industry dumb charging. I think it's all we're a home energy management company, so it felt a little bit wrong to launch it, and we was going to do it particularly for the new housing market, because they just want cheap and cheerful chargers. Because it's a race to the bottom on price, and we had a real sit down as a team. It was like, are we just being reactive here to something for financial gain when it doesn't really align with our ethos? You know, we want to load balance the home, we want to encourage renewable energy, so we just decided that it was not something that we was going to do. We'll stick down the route of our ethics.
It's really interesting what you say about new house development, because I'm undertaking a huge research project at the moment on new house development, and they've all got sustainability statements, and not one of them are actually fulfilling their sustainability statements. And there are no EV charging points going in on any new developments. And I have now inspected thousands of properties from the top 17 developers. Is it okay if I just ask another question, Leanne? You say it's a race to the bottom on price. Has there been any discussion with the developers saying, if your product cost, let's say for the sake of argument, 300 quid, that would be a level at which we are prepared to engage with you to buy 200,000 units? Or is it just absolutely, we're not interested? You know, obviously, you know, they're making tons of profit, £66,000 per house, etc. So it's not like they can't afford it. There's obviously a reason that they think, well, they don't have to do it. But at some stage, this has got to happen. And you seem to me the sort of person who would make it happen.
Thanks. I'm trying, and I'm speaking to quite a lot of the major housing developers. But unfortunately, as more and more cheaper markets come from overseas and things like that, that just have no, at the moment there's something in the standard which means that they only have to put the wiring in. So it's only really the forward thinking and the eco home builders and, you know, the smaller independents that are looking at putting chargers in, that the ones that I've been working with. The bigger guys are just looking at putting the cable runs in. But the clever thing about Zappi is you don't have to put costly upgrades to the homes, and you could balance the grid, and there's all this super smart functionality within the product that I'm trying to educate the housing developers on as well. But it's a slow burner, put it that way. We're trying every angle, but it seems to be very price conscious still, which is a shame.
Okay, thank you very much.
I haven't found a sweet spot, otherwise I'd be able to share it with you. I think £300 sounds like a realistic guess of what they'd be trying to get the charger at. And there's plenty out there, that, like sort of the dumb chargers that could do it, but then they'd only need replacing in the future, and they're not going to be able to manage people's homes. And the actual housing developers are going to have to put a lot more costly electrics in the ground, you know, have to do large upgrades to support lots of dumb chargers. So it's just trying to educate the industry, really.
It seems to me that an option for housing developments would be to have little hubs. So you wouldn't necessarily attach them to each person's house, because not everybody in a development is going to charge their EV at once. But if you had sort of every 500 meters or whatever space you wanted, a post with 4 or 5 on that people could then book if necessary to use, that would be an ideal solution. I think we've got to go much more sort of community focused rather than just individual onesies and twosies.
There's so many different scenarios that you could do, and there's some companies out there that have come up with back plates, which we think is quite cool, so that at least if you know, the housing developers aren't wanting to pay for the actual charge point, at least if they're putting the cable in there and then the back plate, the customer can choose which charger they want in the future, or take it out and all the wiring's done and fit their own. You know, at the bare minimum, cabling, the wiring should be done ready for a charge point, I feel, if the home is looking for a driveway and can have it. But community charging is just like an obvious thing, and I feel like the councils, you know, should be looking at all that as well. Lots of them are, but still some aren't. There's lots of people that don't even know this movement's coming yet. It's such an exciting phase.
It really is.
Okay, next question's coming via Claire. I won't mince my words.
So this one follows on quite nicely. It's come in from, no, we've got no name on this one, but are there any future plans for vehicle to grid or vehicle to home hardware for CCS users, especially vehicle to home, where the EV could be used as load shifting and grid backup?
It's something that we're experimenting with. We're not close to a commercial product just yet because we're not really sure of how the industry is going to go. Where, you know, there's a bit of talk whether people are going to go down the DC route, and I speak about this on quite a few podcasts. But you know, like there's the OVO, an Indra charger that's out that's doing vehicle to grid. The big unit, that's a DC one. There's the wall box, which is DC. But we've got a slightly different take on it, that we feel the industry might go AC. And now that Tesla have announced they're going to be an energy provider, it sort of makes me feel like the AC thing's probably going to be the way that the industry goes. And also Mercedes are talking about it. And if it is AC charge points that can do bi-directional charging, then it's something that a product like the Zappi could do, because the inverter and the batteries in the car, so the car would manage it. But there's so much to be ironed out yet. You know, we're talking about like battery warranties. All the OEMs are going to have to come to some sort of, there's going to have to be some industry standards written, isn't there? We're just so far off being able to roll it out commercially, but I do feel like it is a huge answer and a huge part to the unlocking the future of EV. It really excites me, vehicle to grid.
There's a huge lack of knowledge and understanding as to how it's all going to work, and you still get the age-old thing of, well, if we all plug our cars in at the same time, and yet people haven't got the idea of this concept that you've got a very large battery sat on your driveway that can do that and run your house from the 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock when you get home in the evening till pretty much you go to bed, and then utilise it for cheaper times on the tariffs.
Absolutely. It also counterbalances the argument that EVs aren't green either, because if we've got access to millions of EVs with huge battery loads that can react quickly to the grid's needs when there's events, that is the most clean energy source ever. We're not having to strike up coal and hydrogen, nuclear, and I think it's such an exciting future to see that. I just love the idea of having an interconnected grid and all the cars powering it, and the future of energy is changing, the future of EVs are changing, and it literally makes me giddy because there's so much opportunity, and so it's such a fun experiment and ride, and hopefully with some of our ideas and innovations we can help mold the future of the way we see it going.
So the next question I have is from Derek from EV Review Ireland, and he asks, what is your proudest company moment? And do tell us sort of the details in the story.
Okay, I've got so many, but one that really sticks to my mind. So we've only been going 4 years, but I've had experience within the industry prior with a different company, and I've always sort of dabbled in my own businesses. I've always been a bit of an entrepreneurial spirit, and I just try basically. And when we set up MyEnergi, we literally did it from scratch. We self-funded it all ourselves, proper, like putting your house on the line stress. And we, for the first year, we was in R&D, so we was literally trying to get the products working on a bench, in concept, and sort of thinking of the names, like the quirky names that we've got and things like that, and coming up with all the branding. And then we started to get some traction, and what really kicked things off for MyEnergi was bumping into Robert Llewellyn. So I made friends with a guy called Jonathan. You might know him from Eco Cars. Yeah, I know you definitely know him, Claire and
Jonathan Porterfield. Yeah.
So I made friends with Jonathan on Twitter, and he said to me, "You've got to come to Orkney. You've got to show your Zappi to Robert Llewellyn. I think it's something that he would find really interesting." So I got in my business partner Lee had a Nissan Leaf at the time, but a very early Leaf. I can't remember. I think it was the 24 kilowatt one or something like, and it was quite old as well. So the battery, I'd be lucky if I got 55 miles out of it in like the summer. So I drove it to Orkney, and that was my first ever trip in an EV, like ever. I'd never plugged into a public charger, and I just went straight to Orkney. I had to charge like 13 times and got locked out of car park, so I couldn't get in and was sleeping. It took me ages, and I missed my ferry, and I was going to miss the first day of the event. But it just as luck would have it, Robert had missed his as well, and we was on the same ferry. So I got to do the crossing the next day with Robert, and we just really hit it off. And I said to him, I've got this product that I want to show you. It's called the Zappy. And he was like, oh, the Zappy, Jonathan's told me all about this. Oh my God, don't tell me anything. He went, just stop, don't tell me anything, because I'm going to ask you it in an episode. And I was like, oh God, what, this weekend? And he was like, yeah, we need to film it here, there, and now. And it was one of those moments where I rung Lee and I said, this is really, like, this could really take off for us. This could be the thing that like just gives us that kickstart. And it really was. We was actually having to tell Robert, like, please hold off, because we already had sales coming in from our, we crowdfunded to start off with, and we got £10,000 worth of orders in the first 30 days. And I thought that's a pretty good indication that there's some market here, because we've got no money to spend on marketing, and we've already had some orders. We needed 40,000 to get into full production, but the orders just kept coming in. So we gambled more money, more resources, started hiring more teams, ready for when this episode dropped. And when it did, it broke the internet. And it was one of those moments where you think, we've actually done it. We've got a viable business here. So that was a nice moment the day that the episode went live, because I just knew that it was probably a bit of a game-changing, life-changing moment for us after, putting everything on the line. And then the second most amazing probably feeling was getting the investment. So we've got Sir Terry Leahy on our board, who was the CEO of Tesco. And it just was by chance. We was getting approached by investors all the time. People were saying to us, how are you funded? Like, where have you come from? Because we sort of took the industry a little bit unexpectedly, because there was all the big boys in the market because of the OLEV grant. And then we pop up and it's like, who are these people and what are they doing with charging? It's like, I think we were the first smart charger that ever sort of came out. So we were getting approached by investors, and none of it sat right with us. We were scared. We didn't want to give up too much of our business. It was one of those sort of Dragon's Den moments where you're a bit nervous and protective of it. And then we met Sir Terry Leahy and Bill Curry, and they just believed in us so much and fully backed us. And they gave us 1.2 million to help us buy our manufacturing equipment and to be able to source parts from all over the world and get a bigger supply chain going so that we could make more and more products. So it was just a series of a few things within a few years that just have really helped us spur us along. So there's many moments where I've just gone, pinch me moments, I guess.
Well, I'm not surprised, because that is a huge achievement, and yeah, I think you guys should be really proud. The next question is coming via Melissa.
So this is a question from a guy called Ian Tattersall, and he says, do MyEnergi have plans to offer smart battery storage solutions, and do they need a tester? I'm not sure whether he means, do you want to use him as a tester?
He's part of Yorkshire EVs, so possibly.
I think I spoke to him before. He might even be down on the beta tester list. Battery storage is, of course, we've got a few products in the pipeline around battery storage, because we just felt like it was a natural next step for us as a business. Because we do, obviously, the EDI product. We're not just a charger manufacturer. We have got the EDI as well. You do need solar panels for that. So that is our, that is where we've got all our experience from that we put into the Zappy, because we had years of experience within the renewable space, diverting power from solar to heating or water. So you can heat your water or your storage heating or your underfloor towel rails, underfloor heating, towel rails, anything, any resistive load up to 3.7 kilowatts with one eddy. And everybody asks us for it. Everybody wants MyEnergi battery storage system. We wanted to make our products as flexible as possible so that they work with any battery storage options. Most of our customers, I can't believe how many of our customers, Zappy customers, have got Powerwalls. Like, Powerwall's going to be the biggest competitor to us. But it's just amazing, you know, with all the announcements as well recently with the government and how they're putting a big focus on battery storage, and it would just be, you know, it's just a natural progression. We're looking at it very closely. We've got some exciting stuff coming out actually.
I'm in renewable energy as well. I'm in solar, but in tracking, so it's probably something that we can talk about offline. But the bulk of my customers that have solar are investing in Powerwalls because they are at the moment the market leaders by quite a great distance. So let's hope you can bring out something that's cheaper and better.
That's the hope. We're not going to be, just to clear things up, we're not actually going to be manufacturing a battery. We're not going into chemistry or anything like that. It's going to be a partnership, but with our communication. So you get a lot more flexibility with devices. Because at the moment, if you've got a third-party battery, we have to sort of manipulate our products to allow the battery to consume first, if you want the battery to consume first. Because our products react too quick and you can't mop up all the surplus, like take it all first. We have to set like little delays in the products to allow the battery to consume, if that's sort of the route that, if that's what you want it to do. But if you was wanting to split the surplus or half of the battery, half of the zappy, half, you know, you'll just have a lot more flexibility with our own device instead of third party, obviously because we've got control of the comms.
Okay, thank you.
And Claire.
So this question has come in from Bob Axford via YouTube, and he's asking, are you working with, let me get this right, MyEnergi battery storage integration with the Zappy?
We're not working directly with them. We know MyEnergi. I always say MyEnergi. MyEnergi. I know the guys there, great company. And again, the products will work alongside MyEnergi batteries, MyEnergi, whatever it is. But we haven't got the complete controllability. We're not talking for any sort of commercial relationship. The products just work together. You just don't have all the control, unfortunately.
The next question comes from Neil Brandon of the eNero owners. Would there be a visible market for versions of the Zappy sold with lockdown features that could be unlocked with a small cost later on? I'm guessing a bit like a Tesla may, you know, lock down features that you can then pay extra for later on to have unlocked.
Oh, I see. Potentially, yeah, because we're developing the app all the time. And like you say, some people don't need certain uses of the product. We've got lots on the roadmap of what we want the product to do. And some of that you might have to upgrade it to, or we're looking at subscription models and things like that. But we're talking like next year. But we do firmware updates all the time on the product, you know, for free, and add features to it and things like that. It's pretty much future proofed if you've got the hub. If I'm understanding the question, don't know if I've gone off topic there.
No, I think that makes sense. I mean, as you say, with the subscription options, it's obviously if they don't want absolutely everything from it, then yeah. I guess that's where you might be looking at paying a smaller subscription contribution.
Yeah.
Right, next question comes from via Melissa.
This is from, I think, a lady called Anique Mayer, and it's coming via YouTube. Are you planning to release the Zappy in other countries in Europe as well?
Yeah, we've just opened our Germany and Benelux subsidiaries. They're our prime focus at the moment, but we do supply wholesalers in literally any country that's interested. And we work really hard as a team to get to know the culture, and every electricity network is completely different. There's lots of cars in Europe that, again, compute the regs differently to what we do, European regs. So we actually find that getting into the space, getting to know the customers, getting to know the people, that we end up way ahead of the game in technology terms. So we're a big fan of exporting and getting into new markets, because it's all information that we're getting back and ways that we can tweak the product and getting to know every sort of EV on the market. There's so many that, like the Fiat 500e is not available in the UK yet. It might be now, but we was having issues with that when we were supplying it in Norway, and we learned how to put a software update onto it and fix that, you know. So we're just constantly learning as a company, and we're looking at every market. So we're already in pretty much most. We've got a distributor in most. If she wants to let me know where she lives, I can see if we're already supplying and potentially link her with somebody.
Okay, thank you.
Claire.
So the next questions come from me and Tatterson again via YouTube. Also one that I'd like to know the answer to. How are the plans going for your new huge factory? We saw the pictures on social media and it looks massive.
It's blowing my mind, but do you know what? We've already outgrown it and it's not even built yet. So how do you even do that? So we've had this plan for a year for this amazing brand spanking new factory. And in the meantime, we've had to move into a 35,000 square foot warehouse because we've completely outgrown where we are faster than what we could have this new one built. So we've took on a building that Wix used to be in, and set up our whole production there. And our actual new factory is only 15,000 square foot, but it's got 2 levels. And we've already realised that by the time it's built, which is next year, Q1 of next year, we'll have outgrown it. So we're already planning stage 2 of the build, which will bring us to the size of what we're in.
Fantastic.
So it's all fun and games. Manufacturing, don't get into it. It's everyone else on the market seems to be getting it made elsewhere, and absolutely, yeah, I'm jealous at times, but then I absolutely also love the grind of it and the fact that we're employing so many local people. Where everybody that I speak to at the moment is, you know, really upset from COVID, being laid off, still on furlough. Companies are just using it as some companies are using it as an excuse to get rid of people. It's just a horrible time to see. And then there's our space, which is absolutely booming. And we've just decided to, you know, we'd gained so much momentum, we've worked so hard. Why are we going to slow things down? Let's continue with our growth plans. Let's continue to keep recruiting. Let's continue to keep, we was always going to keep manufacturing in the UK, even though everybody thinks we're crazy for doing that, because it is a mammoth task. But we've just decided to go for it full guns blazing. So it's exciting times ahead, and the factory is going to be, it's going to be so amazing to get the full team under one roof again, because at the minute we're split up and we're such a close culture. We've finally got the team brief set back up, and we put a projector up. We just did the first one last week, so we can let the production staff know what's going on, because with the office staff and the production staff all being split up, we don't want there to be that separation, and just trying to keep everybody in the loop of what's going on, because the industry is moving so fast, the business is moving so fast, that we have to tell ourselves to keep everybody in the loop. There's like 70 of us now, so it's a task across the sites.
Sorry, just another one to throw in there. How big was the team when you first started, to give an idea of how much you have grown in the last few years?
So there was me and Lee as the owners, but he had a couple of from his previous company, Tech Friends, that he started the business with. There was 6 of us all in all, but it was working like sporadic hours and not full time. It was just, they were helping us out really get going, because we couldn't afford to pay them. So we've gone from 6 to 70 in that time, and we're actually doing the whole organizational chart now, and really starting to fill in the gaps of where we need the support, because we've got a really strong exec team now, which at the start, like up until last year, it was only me and Lee, and like I was having a baby as well, and I thought, you know, when you think we're in trouble, because this is too big for 2 people, and we don't know what we're doing. We need some experts in now. So we've built a really nice and strong board of exec teams. We've actually got a Professor John Miles as our chairman. He came from Chargemaster. We've got Bill and Terry. We've got an amazing finance director now, another female boss, Emma. We've got Dr. Chris, who came from Eon. So we're shaping up to be a really strong team, and we're starting to see that there's a few places that we need to fill and departments that we need to grow, because we're absolutely, all of us are stretched. It's growing that big, it's good.
Right, the next question is coming from Anik Meyer again, and She says, I'm wondering how long OLEV grant will still be provided. Probably not forever. Do you think that when this subsidy program stops, people will switch towards sort of dumb charging again?
I hope not. I don't think so, because, you know, I just don't know why you would, when smart chargers are pretty much the same price, because people that are making dumb chargers are usually only out there to make a quick buck. So I just think I can't see it happening. I think smart's the future, because you buy cheap, you buy twice, and as soon as you get a dumb charger in and you realise that your home fuse is heating up pretty quickly, or your electricity bill goes sky high, it starts to make you look at ways that you can be more economical. And I think smart charging's here to stay. I can't see people going back.
Oh, I agree with you there on that one, especially, I mean, I don't know if it's different where Anique lives, but certainly with the sort of Octopus options over here, you know, even just having economy 7 if you're on any other service provider, it just makes perfect sense to have smart charging.
Exactly, completely.
Okay, Melissa.
Right, okay, this is an interesting one. Would you drive to Orkney again in an EV? But I sort of guessed that you've upgraded from your Leaf since you drove last time to Orkney.
Yeah, that was another one of my pinch me moments, because I am just very much I like to put things out there and project it, you know, like positive thinking and manifestation and all that. My business partner Lee actually showed me a card that I got him last year saying, sorry, can't afford to buy you a present. Hopefully this time next year we'll have Teslas. And I printed 2 Teslas off and put them next to each other and was like, this is what we're going to do. He was like, yeah. And then when I ordered the Model 3, when it was available to order straight away, and I thought, I can't even afford it. I put the £1,000 down on the credit card, and I thought, I'll figure it out. I just have to sell a lot of copies. So yes, I've got a Model 3 now, and it is my Herbie. It's my best friend. I absolutely love that car. I love it. So yeah, I've upgraded, and I've never looked back. But I actually want Lee to go to Orkney in his original Nissan Leaf, because I think he should. I did it. I was really up. He was on his way to a holiday, and I was stuck in some services somewhere, and with tanker trucks going past me, I'm sat in this car like, just getting to know EVs in the industry. And I rung him, I'm like, yeah, why am I doing this? You should be constantly kicking off with him, like, what is going on? But then it turned out to be the biggest and best adventure of my life. But it was like, sorry, I'll have another beer. I'm like, ordering beers. It's 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm stuck in a lorry car park. It was in the winter. I had a sleeping bag on. I had the thing pulled up like that because I was freezing, because I couldn't put the heating on because it had drained the battery. I didn't dare put the radio on. I was like,
so you never intend to join Chris Ramsey and James Coates on one of their adventures then?
No. And that's the thing. I got to Orkney and I was literally so proud of myself. And then I got there and there was people that had come from London in like Twizzes. So I was like, I can't talk. I still do. I still love to tell a story any second.
Brilliant. Excellent. Claire.
So the next question comes in from Blake from EV Life Ireland, and it's a question that's asked to everyone. But what is your dream EV, past, present, current, or past, current, or in the future?
So we'll start with Jordan.
I want a roadster, obviously. Dream big and all that. I've also ordered the Cybertruck for the business. So as you can tell, I'm just a Tesla fangirl and I need to get over it. But I love the I-Pace as well. We've got an I-Pace in the fleet. I really want to drive one of these newcomers, you know, like I'd love to take a Lucid Motors car out for a drive, or a Polestar, or I'd love to take a Rivian out. I'm excited by any EV. I'm picking the Porsche Taycan up next week just to give it a blast and to get it plugged into a Zappy and just to see how it runs, basically. But I'm sorry, I'm such an on the fence there. Other than Tesla, I don't know what to tell you. Like the Roadster is just my dream, but I love all EVs. I genuinely do. I love the Zoe. I love the Nissan. I love the Ioniq. Like, I can't wait to drive the new Kia. So it's too hard to answer the question because I like more. But dream Roadster.
Oh. Fab. Realistically, I quite like a Polestar, but sort of certainly the model that's out at the moment, I think is going to be way over my budget. But there's something I particularly like. But I have seen some spy shots of the ID4 Cross as well, which I think looks rather tasty. So if it looks anything like that when it's released, I'd be quite. It's the Volkswagen, so it's you've got the ID3, which is the Golf replacement, and then the ID4 is a bit more of a crossover.
Okay.
But it's not out for at least next year, maybe the year after, I think. So, but there were some spy shots came out of China, where it did look quite nice. So maybe we'll see what the price is like on that one.
I really love the Honda E as well. I just think it's the cutest thing ever. You know, just to have as a little run around a town car or city car, that'd be so.
If you live in a city, that'd be a fabulous little car to have.
It really would.
How about you, Melissa?
Well, I have got my eye on two. Having bought the MG, obviously I'm sort of slanted towards MG because I think they've done a fantastic job for their price point. And they've got a very sexy looking sports car, the E-Motion, coming out, I hope next year. So it's very tempting, you know, should I upgrade? But when you've got a lot of kit to carry around, then the ZS EV is a very practical car. And the other thing I've seen, I don't know whether you saw Robert's program a couple of weeks ago when he was talking to a guy in China. Have you seen the Peng? The Peng looks really cool and it's got fantastic range. And I think it is due to come into the country at some point, not in the too distant future. And it sounds like it's going to be incredibly good value for money. So I think it's worth looking at as well.
How about you, Claire?
We currently have a very nice new Soul sat in our sales area that I am going to have to go out and have a play in this afternoon. I was lucky enough that we've had the new electric Mini with us this week. So I was limited to a drive around the car park on it, but that was also, it altered my opinion on the Mini, as I'm not a huge fan. But no, it would be the Roadster. I'm an MX-5 girl at heart. It was the car that I wanted pre-twins and it never happened. So I think the Roadster would be, or whatever may come next. Hey.
Excellent. And so what do you think, Jordan, about the impact Tesla will have as an energy supplier in the UK?
I think it's going to be huge. I really do. I don't know. In terms of impact, I don't know what they've got planned. I can't imagine it. They'd just pop up and just be like a standard energy provider. They're going to come out with something wacky, aren't they? I don't know. I'm excited to see it because I actually class Tesla as probably our biggest, I've said it, competitor, because they've got the battery, they've got the charge point, they've got the car, they've got all these parts. But I always say that we're Elon's missing link, because up until now, or I don't even know, maybe that will come with software updates, none of it works seamlessly together. And that's where we've tried to sort of like fill in the blanks. And also there's a huge chunk of the market out there that don't want Tesla. So it's about being that other option. But I am such a fan that I am intrigued to see what they do next. It'll have a big impact. It's bound to, and ruffle feathers, but let's just see, let's watch the space.
Yeah, sorry, that question came from Cara Mobile via YouTube. Melissa, I believe the question there for you.
Yes, this is a question from Jake Newis, and he says, does Herbie Model 3 have Zappy branding, and who came up with the idea for the Zappy Happy Chappy Alien? That's a really good question, I think. Great marketing stuff.
Yeah, I actually don't have stickers all over my Herbie. I think about it, as long as they look smart, I'll potentially have it. But the actual alien was my idea. I always wanted a character when we were creating the brand and coming up with the brand names. Like, we had the name MyEnergi for the company with the I on the end. It's pretty self-explanatory because it's your energy, looking after the I for intelligence. But because, there you go. But because because the industry, up until the point where I felt like we entered the market, I was looking at all of the competition and I was thinking it's quite boring. And I don't mean that to any disrespect to them, but I wanted to attract more children. I wanted it to be more inclusive for families. I wanted it to be fun. I wanted them to have names and identities, the products. And I thought a character would be a nice way to sort of soften it and break the ice for people. And I went to my friend who's an animator, a very good animator, and he come up with a few different concepts for me. I didn't know at the time that I wanted an alien. Which is strange because I love outer space and I love SpaceX and NASA, and I didn't know that I wanted an alien. And he come up with, like, because we've got a little house icon in all our products, he came up with like a house character, he came up with a butterfly, he came up with a car. He came up with all these different concepts, and then I saw Sparky, and everybody in me, and I thought Sparky straight away because we have electricians fitting products, and I just thought he was cute. And everyone in the office thought that he was an ant or a germ, and I was like, an alien. And the second that I saw this sketch, my brain went crazy with this whole story for kids, and I wrote a book called Sparky and the Journey to Earth. So I want to start a series of children's books, and I know the EV kids have got them. I've got the books. I wanted to start this whole series of books to educate children or introduce them to renewable energy, and show them how Sparky's planet is completely renewable and how we can do the same. And it's all about Sparky wanting to learn. He's learning all about Earth at school and he can't wait to visit. And then he gets here and he's like gutted because trees are chopped down, there's oil in the water, there's pollution in the sky. He didn't need his ozone breakthrough mode as he was flying into our atmosphere. So everything that he'd learned at school and how his planet run was nothing how he imagined it. And he goes on this journey. And it was also in dedication to my best friend's little girl, who unfortunately died when she was 7 weeks old in neonatal, and I wanted to carry her name on. So there's Molly May in the book, and it's her character, how I'd imagined her to be now, feisty little girl that wants to save the world. So it's her and Sparky going on adventures, educating the littlest earthlings on how to protect the planet moving forward and to get them excited about this space.
I think it's a brilliant concept. Well done. And I'm so impressed that you have time to run a business, write books, and also be a Zumba teacher. So your day is obviously 36 hours long, whereas all of ours are only 24.
Yeah, no, I'm not a Zumba instructor anymore. I was, and exercise is the last thing that I do. Now, I don't do any exercise. That's completely gone out the window. I don't have time for that. But the Sparky book was actually quite easy to write because it just flowed, the first one. And I started a second one, but I've actually put that on the back burner because I wanted to get some animations made during COVID. Because as the air was becoming cleaner, people were waking up that we need to be making more green conscious choices. I thought there's a story here. And the way that the first book was left was that Sparky's spaceship, he powers it from his tummy when he's happy. And because he was so sad about the planet being in a mess, he's too sad to be able to fly his spaceship home. So I want this second book to be about how coronavirus happened, and it's terrible, and for the humans, but for actual nature, about the positives that have come out of COVID, and trying to, because I also think that it's a terrifying time for kids, what we're going through, and it's going to be affecting their little brains. And I just want them to have some little bits of positivity of what is coming out of this: family time, clean air, animals taking back their land, cleaner oceans. Just from that little bit of lockdown that we had, just shows how much damage we are actually doing.
You're absolutely right.
Two reviewers in the background here that are nodding their heads.
Oh, hey, my little Sparkies.
Right, and I believe Claire has the next question.
Yeah, so the final question has come in from Neil Brandon, and he asks whether MyEnergi will consider being an electricity supplier too. How many more strings to the bow?
I don't know. We've dabbled with the idea, and it's never off the table because we've grown so fast as it stands. So you never know. Watch this space. It's something we're talking about, but we'll see. It's a big step. It's a big shift in another direction. If we've got enough customers, hey, who knows?
Okay, there is another question. What advice would you give other females, either in this industry or who would like to work in this industry? And that's come from Richard via Twitter.
Just tell them to do it, because it's, I've never met, I mean, I've worked in all different industries, but the renewable industry and the EV industry for anybody to get into is one of the nicest spaces to be in. Everyone's champions of each other. All the women are champions of each other. And I just think if it's something that you want to do and it's your passion, it's that old cliche saying that if you're passionate about something, go for it. And if you've got an idea, go for it. Reach out to other women in the industry, because there's quite a few. Get on Twitter, get talking, get communicating. I sound like a Nike advert. Just do it. But yeah.
Yeah. So would you say it was particularly hard to get into that industry? It's something I've potentially dabbled with.
Yeah. It depends what you want to do. You know, I don't know which, you know, I don't know what sort of experience or. Yeah,
so I've got mostly IT skills, come from a support and background.
Do it. We need like, I keep saying to people as well, again, for children, or if they're looking to have a change in career, like, I just wish I got into engineering, electrical engineering when I was younger. I wish that I'd got into coding when I was younger. You know, when you're young, you're just like, oh, whatever. I didn't really listen at school. I was a bit, you know, I'm a bit dyslexic. I struggle. I didn't go to university. I've just always been good at communicating with people. But I think if I could go back, I kick myself. I would have got into engineering and I would have got into coding, because it interests me so much, and it infuriates me that I don't understand it. So I just, and with there's such a gap for it. We're crying out for coders, developers, you know, web developers, IT people. And if you've got IT skills and you know this industry, you'll get a job.
No, it is really interesting, because actually I was never into IT when I was younger, and actually didn't get a career in IT till I was 31. So
congrats.
Yeah, so sort of been working my way up and challenging myself.
And women are brilliant in this space, and because, and it's nice to add that feminine touch to quite a masculine industry. We're needed more and more. So I'd welcome more girl bosses in this space. I really would.
Excellent. So I think that's pretty much taken us through all the questions that there were. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks to the rest of the panel, Melissa, Claire, and join us in 4 weeks' time, where we will be chatting with Jill Noel from EV Clicks.
Thanks for having me. It means a lot.
Thank you very much.
I was super nervous at the beginning. I was shy, but it was all lovely. So thank you. It always takes me